Because this is stuff that you have seen in some way in Unit 1. So I'm not going to belabor the point. And then hopefully we're going to have enough time at the end of class to go back and do number 1 in the workbook. Okay. So here are learning objectives for this particular module. We're going to describe different types of profit: accounting profit, economic profit, and normal profit. We're going to explain the difference between explicit and implicit costs and why they're both really important in decision making for firms. We're going to be able to calculate a firm's profit or loss by the end of this module. And then we'll look at how firms respond to positive profits, zero profits, and negative economic profits. Okay. All right. You guys already know that profit is equal to total revenue minus total costs. Okay. But in case you didn't, make sure you write this down. So profit is the difference between gross revenue, that's what they call the big number, total revenue, that's P times Q, price times quantity, right? Then you subtract total cost, and that tells you what your profit is. Okay, this is important. The primary goal of most firms is to maximize profit. In a market economy, this is the number one goal, always. Even when firms are doing things that seem civically minded or sort of like they're doing a service project or something that's beneficial to others, trust me, at the bottom, I wouldn't say that at the bottom of the list is altruism, but more important is the bottom line, okay? Because they're probably doing that because it gives them positive public relations, they get press for it, they look like, hey, we're doing the right thing. And I'm not saying that there aren't people in those corporations who don't appreciate that, right? And who respond to that. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, maximizing profit is the most important goal for any firm in a market economy. Okay. So here is an important takeaway from total cost. Total costs include both implicit and explicit costs. Total cost comprises two different types of costs, both explicit and implicit costs. Going back to Unit 1, what are implicit costs? Parker?
Costs that aren't money like time, opportunities.
Okay, yeah.
It's like the next best alternative, like what you're giving up, your
Yeah.
opportunity costs.
Yes. So it includes all the examples that Parker gave, but we could put that all together and say implicit costs are the opportunity costs of what else you could be doing with that time, with that capital, with that building, with your money that you took out of your savings account to start that firm or whatever. Does that make sense? Okay. So what that means is that whenever a firm is evaluating their profitability, they are also thinking not just about like the accounting, like dollars and cents things that are going to be written in the ledger. They're also thinking about how could I also take these resources and do something else with it and make even more money. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So an explicit cost is one that actually is a laying out of money, and an implicit cost does not require an outlay of money. It's measured by the value in terms of benefits that are foregone, the opportunity cost. And I'll give you an example, okay? Let's say, because I've actually thought about this really seriously, like if I ever decided to leave education as a profession, I would want to be an entrepreneur. I'd want to start my own company, okay? If I did that, I would have to take my savings, right, and invest it in the new company to, get whatever materials I needed, and or I'd have to take out a small business loan, right? Now with the savings that I have, I could invest that in the stock market. I could invest that in bonds or in someone else's firm, like and become a partner in a firm that already exists. There's lots of different things that I could do with that savings. So when I'm trying to figure out if I want to be an entrepreneur and start my own company, it's like, if I'm going to invest in myself, in my own business, I better make sure that I can make more money at that business than I could taking that money and, you know, putting it all into a low fee ETF fund, you know, with my stockbroker, and make 7 to 8% every year. Okay. All right. So you guys are, many of you, going to be heading to college next year or the year after. And your experience in college isn't just going to be the tuition that you pay, as well as the books you have to buy. It's also foregone income that you could be making if you had a job. Okay, so time spent on any activities and implicit cost equal to the next best alternative for which you could have used that time. I think you guys already know that. Okay. So the accounting profit of a business is their total revenue minus the explicit costs as well as depreciation. Do you guys know what depreciation is? Christina, what's depreciation?
That's like an example is like a car depreciates over time, so it loses its value
Yeah.
more time passes.
Yeah. So for example, our school invests in technology for us, but it depreciates over time because it becomes obsolete, right? There are new types of technologies that are out there that are better, faster, more useful, etc. That's why, for example, we got Canvas as our learning management platform last year. And it's because Plus Portals had outlived its usefulness to us as our learning management tool, right? It just wasn't keeping up with the times. It depreciated. Okay, our building depreciates. Things need to be fixed. They need to be repaired. We have to put new light bulbs in the fluorescent lights and all that kind of good stuff, okay? But economic profits for any firm include both accounting profits as well as keeping in mind what the implicit costs are. So economic profits of a business is their total revenue minus the opportunity cost of its resources, okay? This is usually less than the accounting profit, okay? There are lots of firms out there who are earning an accounting profit, but they are not earning what we would call an economic profit, okay? Because they could take some of their resources and rent them out to someone else. As I said before, they could take some of their money and invest it in the stock market or in bonds or in ownership of another company and make more from that resource. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So when we're evaluating profitability in our sort of evaluation of firm behavior, we are thinking a lot about the implicit cost of capital, okay? The opportunity cost of the capital that's used by a business. That's their tools, machinery, that reusable stuff, okay? And the income that the owner of that equipment could have realized if it had been used in its next best alternative way, like loaning it out to someone else and charging interest on it plus some monthly fee, okay? All right. This is just this, by the way, this Babette's Cajun Cafe. This example is in your textbook, and you can take a look at it. It's like two different cases, essentially, of a firm where the big difference here is the implicit cost for Babette of being a chef in someone else's restaurant, right? So, in one case, she's profitable economically, in the other, she's not profitable economically, even though her accounting profits for both different scenarios are exactly the same. Okay. And it has to do with opportunity cost. All right. An economic profit that is equal to 0 is also called normal profit. You guys are going to learn in a future module that for firms in perfect competition, so this is a lot of like agricultural products and commodities, they do not earn any economic profits. They earn what's called a normal profit, meaning that their economic profits are equal to 0. Not that they don't have accounting profits, okay? They do. There we go. Okay, so we didn't get to number 1. Would you guys all do that in addition to your hybrid learning activity for Monday? And we will review both on Tuesday. And that was pretty much it, by the way. This was the last slide. Have a great weekend. I said I was going to go through that quickly, and I wasn't as quick as I thought I'd be. You guys did great this week, by the way. I know this is a very big content dump this week, but you've done well. Yeah, I think you're going to be on Kairos too. We got a lot of the tough stuff finished, and my goal is to get as much of the tough stuff done before you guys leave next week as possible on Tuesday. But that being said, I think